We begin with breaking news from Buckingham Palace this hour. Prince Andrew will no longer be known as a prince and will revert to his name, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He'll also move out of Royal Lodge and into private accommodation under new instructions from his brother, the King.
Prince Andrew, long regarded as the Queen's favoured son, a man raised in privilege, tradition and expectation, spent decades representing the image of a British prince devoted to the crown with loyalty and grace. Yet behind the polished photos and military attire, another narrative was slowly taking shape, one that would grow quietly before exploding into the public eye. It was a story linking Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to one of the most infamous criminals of the modern age, ultimately breaking his life down piece by piece. This is the complete timeline of how a royal once positioned near the heart of the monarchy ended up stripped of his titles, pushed out of public duties, and left facing consequences that continue to unfold. This is how he lost everything, and it all began far from London, with in-court filings submitted in the United States.
What is it that drives you today, Virginia? Is it the sadness? Is it the anger?
It's the responsibility in my eyes. I mean, of course, there is sadness, there is anger, there are scars that will never heal, ever.
A young woman alleged that Jeffrey Epstein had trafficked her when she was a teenager and forced her into encounters with influential men, and one of the names she mentioned was Prince Andrew. At first, the accusations felt distant, almost impossible to believe, but the shockwaves hit the palace fast and demanded an immediate reaction. Official statements were released, firm denials were made, and Andrew insisted that any implication of wrongdoing was completely false. Palace officials claimed the allegations came from a long-running case that had nothing to do with him. Behind closed doors, senior advisors pressed Andrew for details, looking for private reassurance and absolute clarity before speaking publicly. The institution hoped the situation would fade, but it didn't. Despite Epstein's earlier guilty plea, Andrew had continued to associate with him, and that lingering connection sparked uncomfortable questions. Why keep the relationship alive? Why continue contact at all?
They kicked somebody out of the royal family?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kicked him out of the family, and there hasn't even been, like, a formal trial yet. It's not like he's been convicted.
But what does that, what happens when you not? They just walk you out the castle and you
don't know,
you just
man.
own a street?
Why appear publicly with a convicted offender in 2009? The world got its answer in a single photograph. Andrew walking through New York Central Park with Epstein shortly after Epstein had been released from prison. The image sparked immediate outrage. Andrew later claimed he had gone to New York to end their friendship, but the public didn't accept that explanation. The fallout was instant. Under growing embarrassment, Andrew stepped down from his position as Britain's trade envoy, marking the first major crack in his royal standing. But nothing compared to the next image, Andrew with Virginia, Ghislaine Maxwell visible in the background. One photograph that triggered worldwide scrutiny. Andrew insisted he had no recollection of ever meeting her. He questioned whether the picture was even real. He rejected every claim. Convinced he could defend himself, Andrew agreed to a sit-down interview.
Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of crimes, has died, aged 41. Her family has issued a statement confirming she died by suicide at her farm near Perth overnight.
It instantly became one of the most infamous public relations disasters in modern royal history. Andrew claimed he was unable to sweat, used a trip to Pizza Express in Woking as his alibi, and offered no meaningful sympathy for Epstein's victims. He insisted he had no knowledge of any wrongdoing. Viewers were shocked, advisors were appalled, and instead of controlling the damage, the interview poured gasoline on the fire. Within days, Andrew announced he would withdraw from public duties indefinitely. It was the point of no return.
Since Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and killed himself in prison, all the men who ever associated with him have come under fire. No one more so than Prince Andrew, the one member of the royal family who everybody always forgets.
He showed no genuine sympathy for Epstein's victims and insisted he had been unaware of any misconduct. Viewers were stunned, advisors were alarmed, and the interview, meant to contain the crisis, only intensified it. Within days, Andrew announced he would withdraw from public duties indefinitely. This marked the point of no return. The looming possibility of a televised trial, sworn depositions, and global media coverage put immense pressure on the palace. Advisers warned that the monarchy could not withstand such a spectacle. Then, quietly and without ceremony, the case concluded. Andrew reached a settlement. No admission of wrongdoing, no trial, just a financial agreement and a statement expressing regret for his ties to Epstein. But the public's verdict was already set.
We know that Prince Andrew had a relationship of some sort with Virginia Roberts. She is the woman that Prince Andrew's got his arm around in this photo, dated 2001. At this point, she's 17. She subsequently alleged that Prince Andrew had sex with her 3 times.
The damage was irreversible. For years, Andrew had been seen as his mother's favourite, but even the Queen could not shield him completely from the fallout. In a historic and unprecedented decision, she stripped him of his military titles, his royal patronages, and the use of His Royal Highness in any official setting. It was a firm move meant to protect the monarchy's credibility. Overnight, Andrew became a private citizen, still a prince by blood, but no longer by duty or status. And when the Queen passed away, responsibility for Andrew's future shifted to King Charles. The new monarch faced a difficult challenge, a brother whose scandal had already shaken the royal institution. Charles acted swiftly. He denied Andrew any return to public duties, refused to reinstate patronages, and made it clear that Andrew would not be allowed anywhere near the front line of royal life.
He is regular old Andrew, Pete, and we're going to have to get pretty used to calling him Andrew from now on very quickly, because this stripping of his prince title is effective immediately.
It was a clear and unmistakable message. The era of protection had ended. Then came the fight over Royal Lodge. Royal Lodge, a sprawling residence in Windsor Great Park, had been Andrew's home for more than 20 years. Large, historic, and surrounded by immaculate grounds, it also came with one major issue. The cost of maintaining it was enormous. Public pressure grew even stronger after additional emails were released. The king decided he had seen enough. Andrew was instructed to move out, as the monarchy could no longer defend or finance his lifestyle. Andrew pushed back. He ignored deadlines, submitted counteroffers, and argued that he held a long-term lease. Sarah Ferguson reportedly added her support, making the dispute even more complicated. The standoff continued for months, but the king did not waver. Andrew would have to leave, only the timing remained in question. As the Royal Lodge conflict played out, a new wave of reporting reignited scrutiny surrounding Andrew's past behavior.
I think he's out in a house, like way out in the country. Like, you stay here.
I just in my head, I just picture him like crying over some KFC because he's never eaten peasant food.
I don't think he's eating peasant food.
Accounts from former staff members resurfaced, with witnesses recalling his temper, his demands, his offhand remarks, and his immature pranks. Stories spread about his behavior at parties during his younger years, his sense of entitlement, and his treatment of women. By 2025, Andrew's situation had become even more unstable. The last ceremonial honour still linked to his name suddenly came under threat, with officials signalling that its removal was now being seriously considered. Behind the scenes, there was clear discomfort about allowing him to keep it. Those involved understood the weight of the decision, yet constant public and political pressure left little room for hesitation. The movement toward stripping it away was becoming impossible to halt. At the same time, leaked emails and private correspondence added new layers of context to Andrew's past. The documents pointed to lapses in judgment, questionable associations, and moments when he disregarded the guidance of senior staff. Nothing in the leaks defended him. Everything reinforced the perception that he had acted for years without accountability. His finances became a topic of public discussion. Reports suggested that legal costs and the upkeep of Royal Lodge had severely drained his wealth, leading many to believe he was now financially dependent on the king. In private, Andrew expressed anger, convinced he was being sidelined unfairly, but the palace was unmoved. Senior advisers were unanimous. Andrew could not return to any royal role. His presence and reputation had become liabilities the institution could no longer bear. Soon after, confirmation arrived that the king had finalized plans for Andrew to leave Royal Lodge in 2026. He would be moved to a smaller home on the Sandringham estate. He was furious. This marked the moment Andrew's public identity collapsed completely. Sarah Ferguson had been living with him at Royal Lodge, their long-separated yet intertwined relationship puzzling many. Theories swirled. Some believed they protected each other, others thought they relied on one another financially. Together, they created a situation the palace struggled to manage. But the king's patience had limits. The order was final: Andrew would move, and Sarah would need to make her own arrangements. His public life is finished. His royal life has ended. And the consequences of his past actions continue to unfold. This is the full timeline of how Andrew Mountbatten Windsor lost everything. A downfall that started quietly before spiraling into one of the most dramatic collapses in modern royal history. If you want the next chapter as it unfolds, subscribe and turn on notifications. And share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. Thank you for watching.